Not
Hi,
yet.
Nick.
Now we are live,
Oh,
Paul.
sorry.
You were
Oh,
you were too
I was
fast,
keen.
too soon, too fast. Now we are live. Welcome, Paul, to my channel. And soon we also uh, share it to your channel. But first of all, it is on this channel. And for the ones who are following us live, if you are jumping on, give us a comment so we know who is following. And I promise in my WhatsApp group, in my book study WhatsApp group, that along the line at the end, that I would share a link so that you can jump on if you have any questions. So that's a thing. So they can take part in discussion. For the ones who are following live, of course. For the ones who don't know Paul yet, Paul is a good friend of mine, and we are going along already a couple of years. And we are both intrigued of becoming better and studying a lot of materials of Bob Proctor and everything what Bob Proctor shared with us. And on a regular basis, I'm getting together with Paul to share ideas, to study together. And for now, we have a very nice treat for you. And Paul will tell you everything about that. Paul, isn't that true?
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Nick. It's good to see you again. And we're going to cover a book. We're going to take about 20 minutes today, and we're going to cover this book. Not the whole book, actually. We're going to cover the chapters one at a time, and we're going to keep it the time fairly short because we want you to realize that this is an amazing book which can help you with your self-image on how you see yourself. But the book itself, which has been written by Doug Dane, a very good friend of ours and someone we've both mentored with, each one of the chapters is very short. And in fact, they both have action points in the book that you can follow. So it's not just a book that you can read; it's a working book, and there's a lot more to this that we will share with you as we go through the chapters and as we put this series together. Doug has an amazing story in his intro. Now, we're going to keep that back for now as we go through the chapters, and we want to tell you about that as we go along. But he has an amazing story, and I think also it's important as a chap, as a guy, that he's been through this experience and he has been able to see a lot of success through working on his self-image, because there's so many men out there today who I think struggle to come for help and work on their mind. And this can be such an amazing benefit for you in every part of your life. It can make an
Yeah.
improvement.
Well, because I was particularly thinking about Doug, because Doug has been mentoring us while we were becoming a Bob Proctor consultants on a daily basis. And Doug was at that time, we were just looking at him as our coach. He taught us so much, but he has been a successful person in the home selling business. But in his private life, it was he was miserable. And
Yeah.
that's what the start of this book. So that it is, I think, for a lot of men, women, recognizable that you can be very successful on one part of you in your life, but in another part you don't manage it. This is just it's a war. Everything goes wrong, and you don't know how can I get now my life in balance on every front.
Yeah, that's right. He was very successful with financial services before he met Bob, and he was working all of the international markets for Bob Proctor when we met him. And as you say, there's all parts of your life that have to be in balance. So what I'm going to do first is read through the chapter. It's very short, and then Doug and I, Nick and I, we can talk about the chapter afterwards, and we will talk a little bit about self-image and why it's so important. So, okay, this is the chapter 1. Stop judging. And just before we get into the chapter, Judging is something that so many people you hear about, where it says, don't keep living in your past, don't look to your past, and stop worrying about your future. And when we think about our past, it's a lot of the judgment, things that have happened. That's where a lot of the judgment comes from. It says here, judging a person does not define who they are, it defines who you are. So true. Okay, here we go. When you stop judging others, you'll stop judging yourself. When we are born, we are authentic and filled with love, without judgment. But very early on, we learn to judge. It starts small and it grows. It grew in you, and it grew in the ones around you who raised you and taught you. We watched our parents judge people. They criticized the neighbors. They criticized their friends, talking behind people's backs. They criticized each other. And when they raised us, they criticized us. They didn't mean to, but they did. They told us what was right and wrong and defined what was good and bad. If we got it right, we got praise, love, validation, and approval. But if we got it wrong, we were judged, criticized, punished, yelled at, ignored, and in my case, hit. Self-doubt grew within us and we began to judge ourselves. Then we started judging others. We punished ourselves when we didn't measure up, and we looked for validation from others to confirm we were doing things right. This created our fear of criticism, and we began to worry about what others thought about us. We don't like what we think of ourselves, and we're afraid of what other people think of us. And most of us aren't even aware of it. This fear is further fueled by social media, politics, through fashion and style, and through television and magazines. It's everywhere. We learn to cover up how we felt or what we thought because we didn't want to be judged. We learned to cover up who we really were, and we fell into line. Then we started to dislike ourselves, maybe even hate ourselves, and we didn't want anyone to know what we thought of ourselves. What would they think of us if they really knew what we were thinking and feeling? As an adult and a parent, I see how the cycle is continuing. Many adults are struggling with judgment and fear of criticism, and they are raising children who are struggling. The parents are struggling to help their struggling children, and they don't know what to do. I really struggled and got stuck a lot. I judged myself. Who wouldn't? I can imagine how you must feel about yourself. You will see stories throughout this book that you may relate to. Don't judge yourself if you do. Judgment and fear of criticism causes you to worry. When you worry, it creates anxiety, which leads to depression and maybe worse. Anxiety and depression seem to be the new norm. It seems no one knows what to do. Pills and counseling have become the go-to remedies, but they aren't the cure. Mental health awareness is a popular narrative these days, but it just brings attention to the problem, not the cure. We are treating symptoms, not the cause. Judgment is the cause. Letting go of your past and how you view it is the cure. Learning to like yourself, forgiving yourself, and ridding yourself of worrying about what others think is the cure. If you realize why you were judged and you understand why you judge yourself, you can let it go and be free. I'll explain this as we go through this book together. As a parent, I realized it's not my job to pass along my rules, values, and beliefs that set me up to judge. I'm supposed to rid myself of judgment so I don't pass it along to my daughter and others in my life. We all run the risk of judging our children and spreading the disease. I still judge other people sometimes, but the difference now is that I catch myself doing it. And when I do catch myself, I stop it. And I remind myself to look for the good in others. For me to see the good in someone else, I must see the good in me. I discovered a cure for self-judgment and fear of criticism. It's a 3-step process. The first step is stop judging others. The second naturally follows. When we stop judging others, we stop judging us. You stop judging yourself, or you start judging yourself less, and you feel better about yourself. You become lighter. Third is you become immune to people's judgment of you. When I became more immune of judgment, the dis-ease began to ease. When I started treating people better, I started treating myself better. That made me feel free. It's that simple. Make these steps a habit, and when you do, you'll find that you judge yourself less. Be careful what you send out, because it will come back and hit you in the back of the head. It's called the boomerang effect. As I started to direct more love and acceptance towards others, more love and acceptance came back to me. When we judge others, it's a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. I discovered there is good in me. The judgments I've made over the years created dis-ease in me that had impacted so many areas of my life. I have now forgiven myself, and I've forgiven those who have hurt me out of their own hurt, judgment, and fear. I was surprised how simple it was and how quickly things changed for me. My mission is to help others, rid others of judgment. If you can get adults to stop judging themselves and others, then you can be freer, and the people they judge will be freer, and they can free their children from judgment, and they can raise them to be healthier and happier. Their children can grow up to be adults who are healthier and happier, and raise children who are also healthier and happier. I figure it'll take 1 or 2 generations to help reduce enough judgment to create a better world. Okay, that's the chapter, and I'll explain in a little while what the action steps are just before we finish off. It occurs to me as I read that chapter that it always seems so simple, doesn't it?
Yeah,
That
that was a thing I was about to ask you, Paul. It's when you read this, say it's obvious.
Yeah,
There's no magic in what Doug wrote down here.
no.
How does it come that it's still a course, that we still have that judgment if it's so easy to understand?
Yes, and I have to smile to myself because I can think when I first read it, and the key here is when we're talking about your self-image, and there are so many things that we are picking up from when we're little, and then we start to think for ourselves, and you've got the whole world and the circumstances that are happening, and we have picked up these paradigms, these habits, these beliefs of who we think we are, and some of those are mistaken, and they're mistaken because we try and fit in with everybody else, and we worry about what everyone else thinks. And of course, everyone else is thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about us, but we're all thinking about, have I got the best car? Have I got the best house? Am I keeping up with all the people and the things that other people have got? And I identify with those things, whether I've got them or I haven't got them, or people like me or people don't like me. So I connect those habits, those paradigms, those thoughts to my identity.
Yeah, what I get from it, and in that self-image and that idea, but coming back to that, it's so obvious. It's really like a ripple effect.
Mm,
If you are lucky enough to be surrounded with people that don't judge,
mm,
you won't judge, or you
mm,
won't be you won't be felt like be judged,
mm,
and you won't start to judge yourself and others.
mm.
So
And
somewhere you have to cut that vicious circle
mm,
where people are judging because they don't know any better. And there is like a very famous book. I think it's called the Bible. Where I say, "Please, Father, forgive them because they don't know any better."
mm, mm,
So I think it starts there because Doug is referring to his childhood, which was a miserable childhood. No one would
mm.
pick that type of childhood from a catalog.
No.
It's not a thing that you want. It's not like a summer vacation that he had.
Mm.
Um, but the people who raised him, were they bad people, or did they just didn't know any better?
They just didn't know, because everyone's working within their. If you don't understand how an incorrect self-image is steering you in a direction in life that you don't want to go, and you don't realize that's what it is,
Hmm.
then until you start to really understand these things, no matter how simple it is, you're not going to be aware of it. You're not going to understand what you're doing. So no, it doesn't mean to say that people who are raising, that they're getting the blame. They just, I think Bob says it in this book, they just don't know. They're not aware. So even though this is a simple thing, you have to learn to start being what we call objective. And again, that's a simple thing, but it sounds simple, but it's something you can learn. And in fact, on the course that goes with this book, there's I can't explain exactly how they do it, but there's a neat thing that they do. And Doug acts as the like if you think about judging. And so we said one day, he said, well, okay, let's imagine we're in court,
Mm.
and you're the prosecutor. So we're the ones who are beating ourselves up. We're judging ourselves all the time. And so we're the prosecution. And so we throw all this stuff out, and Doug is the defense, or you and I, if we were working with somebody, we would be playing the defense. And it's just like when you talk to someone else, a good friend or someone, and if they are truly a good friend, they can be objective and look at things from the outside, and that can sometimes help you. And you can learn to do this for yourself. It takes a little while, but it's once you've got it, you've got it. And we throw everything out, and at the end of it, what's always found is that all the things we think are facts and we identify with, these paradigms, these habits, that is us. It turns out that the defense, Doug, is always able to show that it's our opinion, it's not a
Yeah.
fact. And you start to think, hang on a minute, this is crazy.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most marvelous thing that I've learned when we were mentored with Bob, is that you always can change your mind.
Mm,
So you always can change your opinion. You can always change your belief.
mm,
And we're so raised we are so raised with an environment, with people around you that stick to their beliefs all their life.
mm,
They will never change an opinion. That it is normal to do the same and stick to your opinion. Once you believe something, you believe it, and you never change it. You
mm,
never question your own beliefs. So if you don't question your own beliefs, you will never question your own self-image.
mm. And especially if you're hearing this from the outside as children over and over again. And if your belief is based on what you see a lot of other people do, and at the end of the day, the people who are successful in life seem to be a smaller percentage than it's a smaller number. So the actual thing of doing what everyone else doesn't fit in. If you want to be successful and you want to do better in life, you need to start learning to think for yourself and understand how you truly are, to be authentic, just to be yourself. And a lot of people struggle with that.
And that's a question to you, Paul. Then why should we do better? Why? Because I see a lot of people that say, I'm fine,
Yeah.
I'm fine. What is it that we think that we should do better?
Well, when you look at all the different areas, personal life, business, health, and all these different things, sometimes you may find someone's maybe got a great personal life, but they just not getting where they want to in their career, or someone's doing great in their career, but they just find everything in their personal life is just not happening for them, and they can't understand why. And what this does is it helps you to understand what is in alignment with who you truly are, not the list of things you've been told over your life so far that basically you believe you are. You start to understand, what are the things that are truly important to me? What are the standards that I want to live by? What is the sort of person I believe I am? And you, instead of trying to always fit in and be this kind of pleasing person to everybody, pleasing your bosses at work, pleasing your friends, pleasing your family, pleasing, fitting in, you're forgetting about where you fit in. Your true self fits in. And because you've got these list of habits, you're literally being sent in a wrong direction because you're not operating as your true self. And as you start to understand who you truly are, you let go of a lot of this stuff that is bothering you. And you learn through starting to be yourself and understanding your true self that a lot of these things that you're worrying about all the time, and certainly things that you retain from the past, you don't even have to think about. And you're able to just let go of it. And your mind clears. And because your mind's not filled with all this stuff, you're able to focus on what you truly want. And because you're acting as now the person you choose to be, you're feeling a lot happier because you're doing the things that you want to do in life. Will it mean that you won't have challenges? No, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have challenges to grow. And that's how we grow. And you will understand that. I don't really think that people's lives are different from people who are really successful and have joy and abundance in their life. The life is the same. They both have challenges, but they deal with it in a completely different way. And if you're dealing with it by being yourself, then you're going to find everything is going to just be an awful lot better. I know it is for me, a heck of a lot better.
That's what I see a lot with students, and is that whatever level you are in life, and every level is a level, and it's no judgment on that level. It's just a level, a state where you're in. And everyone, if he goes really, listens to himself, he has that urge inside of becoming a better person, a more successful person. We have something in us that we want to run faster, jump higher, but do that in every aspect of our life. We want to become better. And as soon as we suppress that feeling, or we don't listen to it, we're not open to it, because we are judging ourselves, because it's not possible, because our environment, we're judging our environment, we're judging the economy, we're judging our bank account, we're judging everything. And that judging brings us in a state of mind of lack instead of abundance. And it's there where everyone knows, if you, as long as you are suppressing that feeling, I can, even if you are arrived on every level in your life, if you think that, if you at that moment you don't think, or you don't let yourself to become better, you become miserable and you will become unlucky sooner or later.
I'll just read the action points they have in this chapter. So you've always got places in the back of the book where you can write notes, and there's some action points, because it is a working book. And as we go on through the chapters, we're not saying here you're going to read this book and all of a sudden you've figured out your self-image and who you really are. I've read this book many, many, many times. And the more I read it, the more I understand. And doing these exercises will really help. So you're going to have to take some action. Your first step is to stop judging. This is the action notes here. Make a list of things you judge yourself for. Pick one thing from your list. Decide you're going to practice letting go of it each day. Make a list of the people in your life whom you judge. Pick one person and decide that you are no longer going to judge them, and practice starting today. As you practice this first step, pay attention to what you say and think to yourself and about others, and correct yourself. Look for the good in people. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And again, when you're doing this, you're starting to become objective. There's no feeling. You're taking the feeling out of it and saying to yourself, hang on a minute, am I judging people? And you're almost like as if Doug was there, or someone said, yeah, actually you are. Your good friend saying to you, you actually are. Right, I'm not going to do that anymore. So being objective is something we'll talk about a lot more. And as we go through these chapters, there's also a secret we're going to tell you at the end.
Yeah, and I think it's not only about persons, it's also about circumstances. It can be the weather. Are you judging the weather? Are the simple things like that? Are you judging your bank account? Are you judging actions of other people? Just becoming aware of your state of mind of judging is the first step to course correct your mistaken identity. That's the first step that Doug present us in this book.
And judging yourself is the biggest one. Certainly for me. I judge myself all the time. I didn't do that well enough. I'm no good. I can't do it. Blah, 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 blah. I used to do that all the time.
Yeah, but you will discover that if you judge yourself a lot, you will judge your environment even more.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I used to judge. I grew up with people who judged everybody all the time. Definitely. Doesn't take long before you learn that habit.
And it starts there, I think, because we talked already a lot about self-image and the importance of it. But this book is really a step by step building up a recipe to change that self-image, really, through really understanding and proper thinking. Because I think that's the most important. I told you the story of the business colleague I had. I sent him like a note, read this chapter of Science of Getting Rich. And he was smart enough to ask ChatGPT to make a resume and send it back to me as if he had studied it. So that's not the way to do it. That's not the way to do it. There is a productive way to study and a rather non-productive way to study. You don't have to know it. You have to be aware of it.
Yeah, it's like this chapter. Things can seem really simple. It's almost like, well, yeah, I know that already. But there's a lot more to this as you go through it. that you start to understand, and you'll hear about more in the following chapters. So
So what I did in the comments, because we are bringing it to the landing in those sessions we are giving now on the mistaken identity, will enclose them in 30 minutes lives. So it's for everyone, not too long to follow, and you can see the replays at your pace or at your own rhythm. But I've asked in the question in the chat if someone wants to jump on live. If you have a question, that's now the moment. If you want to click on the link and you jump on live and ask your question, that's also possible. We give you a countdown of 10 seconds. If we don't have someone who is asking a question, then we'll bring it to a landing, Paul.
Yeah, that sounds good. I've really enjoyed it. Look forward to doing the next chapter.
Yeah, because I know that you have been working with Doug very closely over the last months, more closely than me. You present me the book. I found the book very interesting material, because it covers a lot of the things that we learned from Bob. But the magic that Doug did is he took his own life as a life of example, I think.
Yes.
He's showing, like, okay, even if you started out miserable, and I don't want to give the message to everyone, you don't have to be miserable.
No.
Or you don't have to first go to the dark side. But every level, if you can accept that already, every level, on which level that you are in your life, if you really are silent and close to, and you listen to yourself, there is that urge and knowing that you can do better.
Yes.
And if you ask someone, and I'll ask it to you, when do you feel the best? When do you feel like the most happy? I know it. If you just think about it, I know when I really feel happy. A good day is a day that I feel I learned something. I became better. And that can be in a small thing. It can be in, last week I'm into baking sourdough bread. I love that. Yeah,
lovely.
I love those things. Making. I love food, so I like to make real good food. I have some really projects about it. I want to do. I want to race, whatever. Now, but if I find a better way, and in the evening after doing that dough and everything, and then there is a very excellent bread coming out of the oven. Oh, I'm the happiest guy in the world.
I'm coming to live with you.
Yeah, because I learned something. Yeah, I did it better. And that can be in the most simple things. That can be in business, that can be in teaching my children something, that can be in teaching a student something. But if in the moment that you feel that you learned something, that you involved, that you got a little bit more specialized, that's when I recognize now, yes, that's a feeling of happiness, true happiness. Do you agree?
I do agree completely. It's all about starting to understand who you truly are, and not having to feel that you realize you're trying to fit in with this world that's whizzing around at a million miles an hour, and that you can start to understand who you truly can be.
Yeah, and you can start today, at any point of your life. Yeah, but the past was bad. The past doesn't count now. You can decide today to become better.
Exactly.
So, if you want to become better, next week we are again here with the second chapter of Mistaken Identity. And step by step, we will go to this book and teach you a lot of new stuff that will help you to grow your business, to become a better person, to enjoy more life, and to discover, the true self that's probably a little bit hidden inside of you. So, see you next week, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, good one. Thanks, Nick.
Not
Hi,
yet.
Nick.